Hello and welcome to the Zach Ratliff Show. I'm Zach. I'm glad to be with you. I'm glad you're with me. Let me start by thanking my sponsors, Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org. Without them, the show wouldn't be possible, so I thank all of them immensely. And I thank God, first and foremost, for another day alive, another day in the greatest country He's ever put on the face of this earth. I'm gonna do a little catch up, weekend and Monday catch up, just from the just for some news articles, just some crazy stuff I'm seeing from the Insurrection Act to, you know, um, are the Democrats pushing for another civil war? So let's just kind of get into it, and then we'll see where we go with it. Okay, to start off with, have you seen this about this Jay Jones, who's the Democrat nominee for Attorney General in West Virginia? I mean, it's bad when, the only liberal show is MSNBC's Morning Joe that's come out like, hey, you got to get rid of this guy. He's wishing death threats upon a lawmaker and then wanting to watch his kids cry over it. But once again, it's the Republicans that need to ratchet down uh, the rhetoric, right? Except for Democrats say crazy stuff about us all the time. They're always wishing we were dead, or wishing someone would punch us in the face, or saying to protest on our lawn, or to get violent so that we know what they mean. It's always them. I mean, and publicly, and then they'll lie right to you, like, I can't believe these Republicans are so violent. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you talking about? And the guy he wished this on was his colleague in the House of Delegates in Virginia. So, someone that you work with, someone that you would think, even if you don't like, you have some kind of mutual respect for, being a lawmaker. And here's this guy saying he wished he had died and he could watch his kids cry about it. It's a sick world what we allow. It's a sick world, and for only one liberal show to come out and say, "Hey, I don't think this is good." I mean, this guy's got to go. I hope he doesn't win this race in Virginia. Um, it's just a wild. It's just a wild thought to me that's even. Yeah, I know we don't deem it as acceptable, but is he bold enough, dumb enough? Did he think that culture was in such a place that he could just say it and it didn't matter? Hmm. Wild. Okay, then let's move from this is from clandestine on X.com, and it has a Fox News um, picture here of the mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago, and he's saying he signed an executive order that creates ice-free zones in Chicago, obstructing federal law enforcement to rein in the Trump administration. Whoa, 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 buddy. What are you doing? In my mind, the Democrats are trying to have another civil war, just like they did the last time. And why did they have the Civil War last time? Now it can be said due to cotton production and other things, but a large part of that, and it can be said that the slavery issue was added on top of it. However, it was, the result of the Civil War was the freeing of slaves, right? And now, in order to keep people in servitude to their party, they're willing to go to rise up against the federal government again. What do you mean? Well, here's the deal. Wow, we need to keep all these illegals, it is said by the Democrats, because they'll do jobs we don't want to do. Oh, like a slave. Yeah, 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 but we'll give them housing. But not as nice as what you could get if you were a citizen and active and successful person. No, 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 but they'll be happy because it's better than where they came from. Oh, like a slave. Yeah, 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 but we'll give them health care. We'll take care of them. Okay, well, slaves were property, and so you took care of them because they that's how you made your living? So like a slave? No, 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 but we'll give them free schooling. Yeah, but a lot of plantations had schools where they taught them to read. Yeah, yeah, but this is different. How is it different? How is this not the Democrats once again pushing for civil war because of modern day slavery, which is used from the illegal? And I'm not even talking about just the Mexican illegal. Go to your local nail establishment or your local donut place and ask them where they live. 10, 15, 12 people to a house on guest work visas. They get they get sent back if they don't do what they're supposed to, right? But nobody wants to talk about that. The Democrats are the party of slavery. The Democrats have always been the party of slavery. Nothing changed. There's not been some great switchover. The Republicans even voted for the Civil Rights Act first. Democrats didn't even start voting for Republicans until the handouts begun. Let's don't act like this is a new thing. Let's don't be surprised that the Democrats want to enslave people to vote for them by giving them stuff. Just like in the days of the slave, we'll give you your life as long as you don't rise up. Tale as old as the country. I just don't understand it. But here's the deal with this: an ice-free zone. And then look at what's going on in Portland. Well, so it made me ask myself, so what is the Insurrection Act? So I asked Grok, said, hey, what is the Insurrection Act? Forgot to say please. You know you got to tell your AI please and thank you. For when the Terminators come, they're going to remember all of us that do. And those of you that don't, screwed. Okay. Here's what it says. The Insurrection Act is a U.S. federal law codified in 10 U.S.C. SS 2513-255 that allows the president to deploy military forces within the United States to suppress insurrections, rebellions, or domestic violence, or to enforce federal laws when local authorities cannot or will not do so. Originally enacted in 1807, it grants the president authority to use federal troops or call the militia into federal service under specific circumstances, which, as when requested by a state legislature or governor to address an uprising, or when the president determines that unlawful obstructions or rebellion make it impractical to enforce federal laws through ordinary judicial means. Oh, like ice free zones? Like when the ICE agents get surrounded by multiple cars and the call goes out to Chicago Police Department not to respond, not to help? What we're seeing is an insurrection. What we're seeing, we ought to put it down. And I think it's crazy they're shooting them with those little paintballs or whatever they're shooting them with and gassing them. I'm not calling for just let's move on to rubber bullets. Let's make it hurt for these people to do things. Now, if you want to stand on the street corner and you want to peacefully protest, and I'm good with it. But when you start blocking cars and attacking police officers, that's on you. You know what you get. We have a way to protest in this country. We have a way to make our case, but we are a nation of laws. Anyway, here's some key provisions from the Insurrection Act. Section 251 allows the president to deploy troops upon a state's request to suppress an insurrection. However, 252 permits the president to act without state request if federal law enforcement is hindered by rebellion or unlawful assemblies. And that's where we are, boys and girls. Section 253 authorizes action when insurrections deprive citizens of constitutional rights or when domestic violence opposes federal authority. Once again, here we are. Citizens don't have the rights right now. The rights are being suppressed because they can't move freely. They can't, just like I don't know if you all saw the video over the weekend, the woman that was just trying to go home in Portland, driving her car. And they were attacking her, telling her she couldn't go where she wanted to. Okay, you're getting in the way of citizens. Section 254 requires the president to issue a proclamation ordering insurgents to disperse before using force. All right, let's rock and roll. It seems as if the case is made. Once again, I believe that they're being fed enough rope to hang themselves. Now, look, is the mainstream media ever going to get on and report the truth? No, never, not one time. They're never going to be like, oh, well, these people were being bad, so the so let's don't even worry about what they think. But let's don't even concern ourselves with what they have to say. Let's just move forward. We know the mainstream media is going to lie about it. Okay, let's accept that and move forward. But Donald Trump's doing a good job of saying, hey, here's some rope, here's some rope. And it's like your mom and dad, or like your kids. All right, don't do that. Be home by 10:30. Hey, can I stay out a little bit longer? Yeah, you can stay till 11. Okay. But here's your parameter. I'm going to have a little bit of lean. You can get home at 11:05, maybe 11:02. Rolling at 11:30, it's your problem. That's where we are. Okay, don't do this. We have a little bit of leniency. Yeah, I'll give you a little bit, but you're going to hang yourself, and it's going to be your fault. The consequences that come from that. That's where we are. And so, you know, anyway. And now this is a story that I've talked about many times over the years, and one that I can't believe doesn't get more traction, other than the mainstream media hates America and liberals do too. So this is from Real Robert on X.com, as shown by um, a video on CNN. Okay, here it is: witnesses, sworn affidavits, eviction notices, marriage certificates, tax filings, and DNA confirm Ilhan Omar married her brother and admitted she would do what she had to do to get him papers to stay in the United States. It's time to now. This is just from Real Robert. He goes, "It's time to arrest Ilhan Omar for crimes including marriage fraud, tax fraud, immigration fraud, student loan fraud, perjury, bigamy, incest, kickbacks, bribery, and campaign finance abuse." That's exactly right. Because you have to remember, she's already said that her allegiance wasn't to the United States. To lie, cheat, and steal to get here and then break us down from the inside. I don't know why that story hadn't gotten bigger traction. We've known for a while now that she was married to her brother. Oh, I can't believe you'd say such a disgusting thing about a U.S. representative. I'm not the one that did it. I'm not the one who's married to my brother. How is this my problem? Once again, it's a wild world. We've got one Democrat running for Attorney General of Virginia saying he wants a representative to die so he can watch his kids cry. We've got another Democrat in Minnesota married to her brother and committing fraud, and everybody's okay with that, right? But how dare you want your kids not to have porn in the school? How dare you want to be able to pray with your children at a restaurant and not be mocked for it? How dare you want your teachers to be able to mention the name of Jesus without coming under ridicule? How dare you want your coaches to be able to pray with their kids before and after football games? I can't believe you would do something so egregious. But don't worry, once again, the Democrats are going to marry their brothers. They're going to commit incest and fraud. They're going to wish murder and death upon their opponents, but that's okay. But how dare you? How dare I can't believe you'd want to proclaim Jesus. I can't believe you'd want people to learn about the 10 commandments. You you bigot. You hate-filled bigot. I know. It's absurd, right? We have to continue to push back. We have to continue to say, hey, this is who we are. We're not afraid to talk about it, and we're not afraid of what comes because of it. We can no longer be the silent majority because at some point that works against us, and we're seeing it. I mean, it's working against us now. Talking about the Insurrection Act, Clandestine points out that Trump has been calling them insurrectionists, and he's saying that the insurrectionists are burning Portland to the ground. Clandestine, this on X, says this is not an accident. That's exactly right. Once again, Trump is very measured in what he's saying. I know it doesn't seem that way sometimes, but he's very measured in what he's saying. He's setting the stage. He's the back scene workers when the curtains close, getting all the props out there and getting everything where you want it to go. And then once the curtains unveil, we get to see the show. But you never get to see the setup. You never get to see the stage crew doing everything, lifting the chandelier above the theater so it can fall down, when the chord hits right. But it's there. It's ready. Let's see what else we've got here. Oh, yeah. The Senate votes for the fifth time against advancing legislation to end the shutdown, per Politico.com. This was yesterday. Leave it shut down. I am not for all of these benefits that these illegals, that they're trying to give these illegals. Shut it down. I know. And then there's many of you that listen to this that have let me know. I know it hurts. I know that some of you are going to have to wait to get paid. And I'm sorry for that. But it's the Democrats that are doing this. And not all of them. There are 3 Democrats that have voted yes. We just need 5 more Democrats to vote yes on this thing. Everybody's like, well, but Republicans have control. You need 60 votes to break a filibuster. And then you can go to the 51 vote. So technically right now we're in now. I don't know exactly how the rules work. Looks like John Thune would just have the Republicans vote to kill the filibuster. We're not going to do it that way anymore. Now, if somebody wants to stand up and talk, they can do that. I think there's some rule adjustments that can be made that could make things a whole lot different. But I'm not an expert on the rules of the Senate. So as they're set up right now, you need 60 votes to clear the way to go to an actual vote. So 5 more Democrats. But remember, that's the one thing I admire about Democrats. They stick together. Also, it's what I admire about Republicans. We have so many thoughts. We're so welcoming that everybody doesn't always agree. Once Democrats decide that's what it is, that's where they go. As Denny Burdon says, they ride for the brand. You can see this about Jack Smith, the guy who was a special counsel that investigated Donald Trump and was trying to put him in prison. Turns out he was tracking private communications of U.S. senators while investigating January 6th. He had the phones tracking the phone calls of Lindsey Graham, Marsha Blackburn, Ron Johnson, Josh Hawley, Cynthia Lumens, Bill Haggerty, Dan Sullivan, Tommy Tuberville, and Mike Kelly. All U.S. senators had their phones hacked and being followed by Jack Smith and the left because they don't care about our government. They don't care that the ends justify the means. They will do anything they can to win. They've shown that with what they tried to do to Trump. They never planned on getting caught. They didn't think they could ever. Once they got him thrown out, they weren't worried about it. They knew none of the Democrats would hold them accountable for their action. Our way of life is under attack from the left, every single day. They hate you, they hate me, and they hate our country. Unless, of course, they're all powerful. Then what will you rule? That's always the question. What will you rule over? If you kill us for, doesn't matter. They just want the power. Power's a hard thing. Power's a weird thing to yield. And once you get it, I'm sure pride can just swell you up pretty quick. Then you want to keep it. It's like Gollum and the ring, right? Is precious. That was his precious. He didn't want to share it with anybody. He did everything he could to get it back. When in actuality, he was serving Sauron. Anyway, Sauron. Okay, let's go on. Oh, yeah, here's John Fetterman on DK on X.com. He says, when John Fetterman got voted into office, he couldn't form a sentence because he'd been damaged by a stroke. And so the Democrats were happy to put him in there because he could be a puppet. He could be controlled. And then this guy, DK, and on X, he goes on to say, he now finds it fascinating that the same person is now one of the most sensible Democrats in the Senate. That's exactly right. They thought they'd be able to control him, and as he recovered, they cannot. It's a wild deal. Wow. Maybe I don't know if you all have seen the go look at the back and forth between Gavin Newsom. I don't want to read some of the words on my show, but go look at the back and forth between Gavin Newsom and JD Vance. I, I'm a fan of JD Vance so much because he's just a good old boy, was smart enough to go make it happen. You know, he's a year older than me, so he rose to vice president. But he talking about giving none, he doesn't, and he just tells it like it is. He's just a country boy in a suit that's way smarter than everybody else too, and he doesn't hold back. You know, that's what I like. Go make it happen, baby. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see what else we've got here. Oh, this is it. Leading report from X.com. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has terminated top National Institute of Health scientist who advocated for COVID vaccines. Robert Kennedy's doing work, boys and girls. Robert Kennedy's doing work. So is Tulsi Gabbard. I'm all for it. I'm all for freedom. I'm all for freedom. God given freedom, as our declaration appears. Oh, here's the story if you want to be able to find it about this Jay Jones. It's from NBCNews.com. Virginia's Democratic AG nominee once suggested a top Republican should get bullets to the head in text messages. And they've got the text messages. Once again, it's always Democrats that call for violence. I'm not saying there aren't some crazy Republicans. But day after day, time after time, very publicly, it's the Democrats that do it. Now, if you go to SCOTUSblog.com, it says Supreme Court allows Trump to remove protected status from Venezuelan nationals. What they did was say, yeah, this is your power constitutionally. Everybody keeps saying, oh, the Supreme Court's given Donald Trump all this power. No, they're just saying, yes, he can do this constitutionally. They're not giving him anything. They're acknowledging the power in which he has via the Constitution, which at some point is what our country went by. Now, that's going to be a little off because I don't normally talk about sports here, but this ties in. It's from IG NFL Prime on X.com. I don't know if you all are watching the deterioration of the NFL. Rush Limbaugh, the great, um, said that the last thing the liberals had to take away to kill manliness in the U.S. was the NFL, and that's absolutely where we are. I mean, from the halftime shows to the just to it all, right? Anyway, The Nevada Supreme Court has unanimously rejected the NFL's attempt to block John Gruden's lawsuit. That's right. John Gruden's lawsuit's still going, and he's about to burn them down. He's got all the info. This article goes on to say this means Gruden can move forward with discovery, digging into league emails, records, and communications involving Goodell and the NFL executives. The NFL fought hard to stop this, but now lost 7-0 in the Supreme Court. Just remember, they leaked Gruden's emails when he was at the Raiders, trying to burn him down. That way, he had to get fired, making him look to be something that, by all means, that you can see, it doesn't look that he is. Now, I don't know. I've never met him, but he's still fighting the fight. The NFL's going to get what they have coming to them over this. The NFL's gone. It's hard for me to even watch a game just from how left they've gone. Because remember, the left takes over a lot of these charity organizations and different things, foundations and whatnot. Whoever started the companies, were in a good place, but then as the grandchildren or as other people take over that have had life handed to them, they feel bad. So next thing you know, they go left. And you're watching that happen with the NFL. The NFL is burning itself down and doesn't know it yet. You can even, I mean, there's multiple articles there. I'm surprised it still has the following that it does. But there you go. All right, everybody, I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do it all again. Hope God blesses each and every one of you. And remember, the news may seem tough at times, but Jesus is the light at the end of the tunnel. Jesus is the way. He is the truth and he is the life. To get through the Father, you have to go through him. Okay, I hope God blesses all of you today.